Firstly, we'd like to welcome Leo to this webinar, to be present here with us, to share his experiences with us. Leo has had a very interesting journey. You must have read in our introduction of the event a little bit about him. Now he's here to share his inspiration and his discovery of oneness. So, Leo, I would like to ask you a question that might let you kind of introduce yourself to the rest of the group. Just want to understand your journey to discovering this oneness.
Thank you for having me here. And let's see if this auspiciousness I sometimes call every meeting, if there is an opportunity within in each of you who are participating to be here while some words are being shared without any past historical sense. Just see if this is possible to be very alert while being here as in such way that thoughts which may appear or opinions and comparison or any kind of judgment might be seen from a kind of distance or space, because this kind of alertness is needed for staying here as a witnessing power, and just for this true listening, which is not filtered by the mind, which quickly interferes and actually distorts these, whatever is happening here. It is sometimes I call it is a kind of experiment for this universal consciousness to flower, and what is it takes place not inside the head. It does not need any understanding. It is more the freedom from seeking anything to understand or anything to know. And therefore, I sometimes invite to see if it is possible to listen from the place of the heart, because this is what is needed. The heart has no, let's say, no ideas about what is going to come next. And it's just aligned or in no resistance to this moment. And in this alignment or oneness, there's a kind of beauty in itself, which is not dependent on what, on all these kind of words which are being said in this course, but there's a happiness and a peace which is just here while being here, without it does not need to meet any expectation. And so I may start and speak quickly or a little about the journey of my journey, which actually is perhaps at times a little different, because throughout childhood or early, when I was a young adult. Actually, there was never a kind of search for, like a spiritual search on an intellectual level, a kind of deepening or oneness. But as most of you who are here probably can relate, the childhood was interspersed with, at times, well, besides some periods of happiness and joy, also with intense periods of suffering. And there was like a constant yearning or looking for finding an end to this suffering. It was caused, one reason on the external was the divorce of the parents at early age, and the mother got sick, and she was in hospital many times, suffered a psychological disease, and the father had almost no time. And when he was there, there was always a lot of tension most of the times. And sometimes, as the father, due to his state of consciousness, could not handle to really, let's say, to treat or to act out of compassion, this, me as a child, was suffering quite badly, mostly psychologically. And I remember quite well when I was about 10 or 10 to 15, and I was not allowed to be at home. The mother was in hospital these times, and I was just walking around the streets, and was somehow in this deep sense of suffering. And it has started in these moments to see, or to wanting to dig a little deeper into the understanding. There was in these deep periods of suffering, there was no a kind of defensive reaction or blaming anyone to do better. I knew it would change a little in these moments if the surrounding people in like the parents would be caring more consciously. I did not even know this word, but I knew this would be, of course, a symptom to relieve these kind of periods of deep suffering. But rather than wanting others to change, in these moments, I was just somehow, at least for quite some time, sitting and like asking for. It was like a deeper call coming from, now I would say, from something within her. The heart was very much in pain, and it was looking for, it knew somehow this cannot be this existence of my being or this whole life. And well, there were a few moments or periods like this, but the mind came in quickly And it took a few decades. It tried to, so thoughts came in and we're looking for finding happiness. And so there was the approach to be successful and having a good career as a doctor. And at one time, or throughout my life, like to look for beautiful friendships and to collect, to find a lovely relationship, and thereby these moments of just sitting and asking life were a little suppressed. So it took a few years with some ups and downs, but at one level, the suffering became, let's say, was more intense than before. It was especially linked to a kind of relationship, and so with a partner, these days I wanted to marry, and the at that time I knew that the work I was doing was not, although it was quite successful as a doctor and having, there was enough income, money, and knowledge, and some reputation. Some research was done, and the career of a professor for quite some time seemed like quite promising. And I was, there was a, um, let's say, um, the need to become successful. And though this of course caused a lot of stress inside my being, but I did not realize this on a deeper level. I could just see the compulsivity was very intense, even when meeting uh, my partner. And this time, the mind kept me somehow locked into the future, to still need to do something to, and I was chasing experiences, and it was barely impossible to even rest for a few moments and to really just to sit down. And I was not open for any, even meditation. These kind of words or yoga seemed to be quite dangerous. I was always like avoiding to look into yoga and oneness I never heard before. So what I just knew was this: at times when I was there in sadness, in very deep sadness, there was a kind of um, I sometimes say like a peace. I just sometimes opened up in these moments of very deep sadness. And at this time, I did not know anything. So life was continued to be quite generous in putting some stress to the person, to me as a person. And at work, there was one meeting where it was very clear that this career can easily, let's say, being completely destroyed. And the head of the department is not really supporting this career as becoming a professor and supporting it. Always at the beginning, or even during this period, it needs some support, at least in this system where I was working. So, and this was made very clear to me in one meeting. And in this moment, I immediately knew it was quite shocking on one level. But on the other hand, it was a kind of gratitude, just opened up to really see, okay, this now I know happiness does not come from uh, from this activity I'm doing. So, and I was practicing medicine for almost 15 years. So, and putting many hours, almost 12 to 14 hours a day. So, on one hand, this was quite shocking, but um, somehow in these moments, I was even grateful, or there was a little glimpse of gratitude, let's say. I was not angry about what took place. And exactly in this time or in this period, there was also this, the, let's say, attempt to uh, to see if, or there's at least one more try to see if this warmth and this seeking for happiness and peace with the family. So this was attempted, and I was writing a few letters to the family. But after some time, I realized uh, these it cannot really be seen. This uh, let's say this bruised heart, which I was opening to, and therefore the only or last anchor in my life was this relation, or was uh, my love. I would say at this time, I knew this is the one who's making me happy, and I was very grateful in these moments and was enjoying. But somehow also this in this period, the relationship started to, let's say, there were some, uh, there was a kind of, it was not working as I have wished. So I was seeking to find fulfillment or wholeness with this being, but it was a thought, or something was something inside me was so driven to find this oneness, and it had quite some energy, I would say, this longing to find this completeness, which I did not know before, and I wanted to uh, fulfill this meet with her, and and for the partner at this time, the though there was a kind of also willingness to make this journey together, there was no, um, let's say, the when there's such a high demand of anyone to make yourself happy, and when this, of course, this can never be met by another person. So somehow this also fell apart slowly. And I was watching this, and I knew that there's a behind this, there's a kind of fear. It was not very conscious, but I knew now even this last attempt to find this happiness is going to wither. And so at the end, she just said she will need some time because her body was suffering very intensely. And 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 one day it was meant to be the just before the marriage. We always um, postponed this marriage because we knew in this moment of and at this moment or in the last periods or in the last month, or something uh, is not going to work. But we were not able to really consciously approach this. And so one day I came back from work and we were living together. And I knew because she said she won't come. She will take some time. So she stayed with her family. And somehow I felt it can this fear was just next to me. It was very intense, and I knew I'm like I just I cannot really do something anymore to change anything for the better. The work was there was this conversation and the family. There was no hope in the family, so I opened the door at this time, and there was a door, uh, a glass door, and I was looking through this door, and I could see um, a breakup letter and this ring, uh, uh, this wedding ring or fiance, I don't know the name, but this ring was there, and somehow this brought up uh, a tremendous sadness. I uh, I was crying intensely. I could not even go to have a look. I was running in my apartment for half an hour, uh, like a small child. I could not bear this intense suffering uh, because somehow it has removed all these ideas of myself to find this lasting happiness. I was, and all the beings, the heart is always looking for this. So I I was running in the floor, and but I knew I cannot run out of it. Nothing. There was no escape from this. Let's say from this running, from this uh, not looking and not uh, let's say accepting this unfulfillment of myself, and uh, it turned. So I can't remember the exact course, but while I was uh, uh, crying, I said, I need to read this letter. And I went to the letter, I read this letter, and it was clear that um, it was written there as well that some kind of patterns would not be, they were addressed like unconscious patterns, they were addressed by my partner, but they could not reach my being. So uh, in these moments, I I there was this a strong uh, need or longing inside coming from my heart to really to 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 find out uh, this life, and it was accompanied by the strong longing for finding this love. I did not even know. I just wanted to laugh, to laugh even in this moment of great despair. And in these moments, there was also somehow a longing for dying, for not being here anymore. And don't know how long, but it was just a few moments. And it was so, I knew I tried for many years and decades to find this happiness. But now there's no, everything fall down, and there's nothing except trying to, not really, it was not a try, rather than now, please, I cannot bear this pain inside my heart. Now I need to find an answer. I just, please take me away. I really said, please, I don't want to live no more. And in this moment, somehow, from within there was something was saying, seemingly, or whispering. Something was expressing, oh, now you may die. And I was, there was this listening, oh, I can die. And then something has changed. There was a deep gratitude for this relief of, well, dying. It was not physically, there was never the need for killing, but rather this psychological death, which I did not know in this moment. I did not know who was, I never asked the question, who wants to die, who was answering. It was just a deep longing for this dissolution. And then the heart said, okay, well, now you may die, and a deep gratitude. And within one moment, there was like a little, like this whole life, seemingly life, just flowed on, just somehow detached, like it detached from what was left. And I was laughing. I started to laugh because in this moment, there was actually no more the one who was suffering. And this was quite astonishing. Almost, it was irrefutable, of course, but somehow it was so immediate, so direct, without any doubt, that I was laughing for 5 minutes. How is it possible? Moments before, crying like a baby, suffering, and suddenly there's no more the one who suffered anything. And I never read any book about spirituality or what took place. It was just a very like this discovery took place in this moment. And of course, after this laughing and knowing of love, also this was strange in this moment of laughing, and there was suddenly love, although this love was not met by anything outside. It just it was here, but this here-ness was not mentally understood for quite some time, and did not even know that this kind of disappearing, what did disappear and what remained. It took perhaps half a year or 1 year. There a little suspicion came, because since this moment, this a peace remained. And at the beginning, this was this peace was here, but it was kind of, there was no understanding for this peace, because everything was in shambles. And why is there suddenly peace? Everything, beings were asking me, and I could not really answer. They were asking me, how am I feeling? And I could always say, well, I remember when I answered a kind of, I cannot answer it anymore. It is more like uh, like infinite, some kind of spaciousness, or there's no more a sense of good or bad in my being. And so I discovered in the following month, I experienced through little meetings that many things just disappeared. It like to the normal patterns of the mind, to wait, or to get bored, or to get angry. Nothing occurred in these, and no guilt or embarrassment. It was just a subtle uh, peace, which always was there, a little less intense at times. And when like little waves of past memories arose, it was deepened a little, but it remains since then. And only after half a year, when I thought, oh, it seems to stay or last, it does not go away. There were some challenges, but this peace is here. And then I was looking for also finding some intellectual, let's say, answers, what took place and what is here. And then I read a few teachers, among some lines of Buddha and Jesus, of course. And I was grateful for also having these, making use of the internet, because then it was, before I thought maybe I'll go to India to find out, because here at my place, the most, or the beings I met, I could not really answer, could not really bring mental understanding to that. They rather wanted to send me to hospital, or wanted to take me to take pills, because this was not something which is easily to grasp. But after 1 year or 1.5, it became very clear that this was just the, let's say, the dissolution of the personal sense of myself. And what remained was this timeless presence, which is here beyond the mind, and it is nothing personal. This presence is underlying all senses. And I would love to invite you to, let's say, to open up to this opportunity while being here, to see what is here. It is, yes, the senses, hearing, feeling, tasting, all this takes place. But to perceive, and this, the senses work effortlessly, there's no need for any control. And beyond the senses is this underlying presence, I sometimes call presence or spaciousness, which is here, the sense, the simple sense of here-ness. I am here. And all of you are here without needing to think of being here. This knowing is immediate. It cannot be doubted. And it does not require any thought, any theory, but rather an alertness or attentiveness. And it does not need no thinking activity. Even thinking can take place. The mind may come, but this itself is not coming. And this we are meeting here, sometimes I say, as seemingly many, but looking from this place of the sense of just being here as this timeless presence, there is no many in this. Even the shapes, the human shapes, everything is seen by the eyes, but without thinking, there's no separation. Separation comes through thought, and this understanding or openness to find out and to discover this for one's own and to confirm this inside one's own heart. It is not a mental thing, not an intellectual idea. It is no belief. And this is the simplicity of being, which is this great salvation from being separated as an idea. And so this moment took place almost 5 years. But to really start to speak, it took a while. But this peace is here, and there is, though this is called a journey to oneness, but in this moment of opening, this peace is not away. It's not, you don't need to go somewhere. Sense this own sense of here-ness is right here. And this itself is very powerful for those who are open and not wanting to reach or to take more time to find out and to understand this fully. So this was a little about so-called my journey. Though at the end there was just this a journey of the whole universal consciousness. It just seems to be little waves isolated. But once this is seen from this place of truth, or heart, from the heart self, which is always here, no need to attain something. There is, it is just this one, a dream of shifting from egoic thinking and identity to this deeper sense of or true identity of yourself.
Leo, you talk about suffering in your past, and I think most beings, I would say all beings, suffer. Do you think suffering is something that leads you to kind of self-discovery as you did? Or yeah, was it some kind of divine intervention? How would you describe it? Is it a necessity to for human beings to suffer to such a level that leads them to self-discovery?
I would now say the suffering, yes, on one hand is needed because it is
Mm,
just a reminder something is distorted, something is not true, right? But for still quite the majority of beings, even suffering is not really work. It is not like a tool to really find out a deeper sense of life, because still many beings don't really want to suffer and run away and even try to avoid this kind of suffering. And you cannot really, sometimes I say, I would love to sit with beings who are in deep pain, because in this deep pain, something is opening up. And in some beings, it is like like everything has not worked out, and now I there's an openness to let go of this conditioned thinking, and this comes from uh, let's say from life itself, from this or the heart which seeks to be here as the true self, or which wants to be confirmed by yourself by uh, allowing this suffering and listening to it is carrying a gem, I would say, of course, but one cannot, let's say, um, ask life for, or not many beings are asking life for more suffering, right? So, but it happens anyway at times.
mhm,
And when there's already a certain openness, it is that we are meeting here. This would probably not be possible without any suffering at all. And
mhm,
when uh, when this body, some words are coming out, it is not coming out seemingly from a random being, but ultimately um, something recognizes this within this, uh, or is somehow reminded this must be the truth, right? If the mind is not completely occluding this openness to listen, something is knowing, oh, this is it, this has to be, this is the truth, without even uh, agreeing to that. It is just like when you're listening here, there's a kind of, when the heart is listening, like a knowingness, this is the truth. And it is no thought is needed for this. And even to embrace and these kind of um, being here and to really be very attentive is also helpful to, let's say, to deal. It is not needed to always ask for or to suffer, because in the moment the heart is open, there is no, well, no psychological suffering. Well, some things are removed, but when the heart is here, or love or presence. There's no holding on to something. It is just a natural course of a coming, arising, like thoughts, or like a being you meet. It is coming. At one time, it departs. It may die. It is just a natural coming, going, and each moment becomes very sacred. There's a sacredness, even in seemingly something goes away. This is not really, it is just this going away. Even this, it cannot persist as a, because there's just this moment. And in this moment, there's always a timeless gratitude and a loving kindness and openness to life. And life is the whole thing of coming and going. And yes, even the disillusion becomes sacred, because ultimately there is a deep a knowingness of this ocean of being, that everything arises from this, which is never going to end, and it never came. So whatever came is part of this. It is not separated from this oneness. So to suffer is a blessing, but only a few will understand this and will have the courage, the heart to really be and to wanting and longing for understanding and to make use of the suffering. But most beings still become more unconscious, and when the situation is more challenging, a threat, and then there's no openness, it's just like a defensive, reactive. This is what usually takes place. But I hope that those who are here at least see these kind of possibility which comes through suffering. But ultimately, the suffering is it is not part of your being. It is just a means to see yourself and to find out, to really know what you truly are in essence. And one more thing, even this while being here, and this is when there is this openness, this might also bring a kind of, let's say, like to abide in this alertness while being here, and to be in meditation. This is what is called meditation, to remain as this space and or spaciousness which is free from past and future, and it just is one with this moment, and no need for anything more to happen. And this might be useful as well. And therefore, we are meeting. And when the heart is flowering, the suffering will also disappear. Yes.
Thank you, Leo, for answering that question. I would like to open questions for other participants as well. So if anyone listening has any questions for Leo, you can ask him.
Can I ask?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Leowe, for indicating the source for happiness through giving your own example of life, journey, life. May I ask you as an extension, since you look very young, what are you doing now? What is your family like? And what are your activities now?
Okay. The second question, so what are you doing? What is the life like? What? This was the question. I did not get the second question.
How do you manage your life? Because the body is there. Body requires so many wants,
Yes.
not so many needs, not wants, needs.
Yes.
To fulfill those needs, how you are managing?
Yes.
And
Thank you.
what is the journey like now?
Yes. Thank you. So it started now. It's already a little adjusted, but in the very first month, it was I know when I was eating in the first days, it felt quite strange. Though I was not really knowing, but I thought, what's the point of eating? But I was eating anyways, looking in the mirror and said, wow, what's the strange thing to do? Everything was very like, why everything was new? Like suddenly there was no, let's say, like just sitting in this beingness. But of course, it not happened as a baby. Therefore, it would be difficult to really to keep this body alive. And as soon I knew, okay, the body is still here, although the identification has dropped, but the body is still part or seen in this awareness, and one has to take care at least a little. And this shift of consciousness brought also a kind of shift in how to, let's say, care for the body, and to be watchful what, because the body is also, I mean, this is the vehicle to transmit this understanding. And I also continued to work at them for 1 year in this hospital, university hospital, because of course there was still it did not immediately break all these kind of let's say activities which were done before, but there was always looking at what took place. And I soon discovered that this, whatever is here, this peace was, let's say, it did not really, there was something more to come into the, to come about. And 5 months after this has happened, I woke up and I knew, or this love was so intense, though I knew nothing about how to explain anything, was like to bring this message of love to a kind of greater audience at one time. At this time, I was still working in the hospital, and then the journey just has started. So a few months later, there was one moment when suddenly the understanding came to quit the job, to quit this very demanding job where many, it was the emergency cases, some beings with helicopters came and trauma patients, so lots of noise. Though in this whole year there was, it never obscured this piece. But at one time I went to the office of the head of the department, and I said, this, I will stop now. And I actually did not know what will happen next. It was more like a deep trust. Somehow life was, let's say, expressing itself to not to just flow. It was really not me. There was only this life. I later discovered this life, and life was guiding. And in one morning, I also intellectually understood that awareness itself remained, and it is not. There's no, let's say, it's not really a personal journey, but a journey of life, and life is letting this body know to what to do and what to take care of and what to not do, and many egoic activities immediately they stopped. But of course, to have a living and still working in some kind of medical area, but more the night shifts. Just this is still the case, but these and now I was introduced as a spiritual teacher, and there are these kind of teachings which are taking place because it is very clear this life is asking for inviting life within all of you to hear this call, to go inward and to find out for oneself. And maybe a few words about this daily life. Well, I would say there's almost no thinking. It is very just this sense of being, and thinking quite rarely takes place whenever needed, but it is, well, not that often. And also not, it is not consuming, just a few thoughts and then they disappear. Maybe this or has answered a little.
Thank you very much, Mr. Leowe.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Can I ask a question, Rajan?
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Firstly, thank you, Leo. This was very, very enlightening, your talk, and to understand your journey. My question is, at what point in your journey did you transcend the mind and the intellect? Because you mentioned that now there are no thoughts, even if they come, they disappear, and you continue to be. So what was the point where this, in your journey, where you completely transcended the mind and the intellect, which for most of us is what holds us back to, feed the heart?
Yes. So very thank you for the question. And but there was no moment when I did something. It was actually, I did the whole life. For many years I tried to find this peace. But at this moment, when there was just a complete, let's say, openness to dissolve, to disappear, this longing for love. It was so intense in this moment. Just consciousness detached from thought somehow, and it remained. There was suddenly a space, and from this place of awareness itself, the person could easily be being seen as something which is not real. It was just believed to be what I am. But in this moment, it just disappeared and no trace was left. And I now sometimes you hear me saying I, but this I is just for bringing some understanding. It is not coming out of, let's say, a kind of story or historical sense. It is more like consciousness is making use of this voice, and for most human beings, these I later found out, I did not know at the beginning, these understanding or being the true self is more, it seems like a path, like a journey, right? Some periods of personhood, I need to do something, and then at times there comes this, oh, there's just this subtle peace and flowing without, or deep joy, which comes just out of nothing, which is present, just to sense this aliveness as yourself. And then the person comes over and wants to get back to this. But this is not, it is more like falling into this grace, or yes, bringing some space. And this space cannot come through willpower. It is more like, as I said, to be very alert while being here. And this is knowingly that this is quite rare, that it suddenly burst in complete emptiness. But consciousness is, in the totality of consciousness, this journey is like this. And when these words, which I now give, when they are digested and seen, then this is here for, not for anyone, but this simplicity of listening from detachment. The opportunity is here, but there has to be, yes, a truthfulness and honesty about this, and also patience without anything, not even need to transcend anything.
Thank you. Thank you. This was very, very good, very enlightening.
Just to also say, I want to add, the mind is, and this is their hidden or unconscious pattern, which are not sometimes, the mind won't come and tell, now I'm the mind, distracting from this piece of being. It will just, it will do it. It has some kind of tactics, or like sneaking in by, I need to find a technique, or I need to listen to another talk, or but actually all this is can be seen, and so the simplicity of seeing, it is not something what the mind can digest, or will digest, or is interested in. But the mind can never conquer this, what is even bringing this mind to appear, right? So without being here, no thinking can take place. Even the thought appear and disappear. Even the sense of I is appearing in these in yourself. But it needs at least, let's say, some space between thinking itself and this consciousness. So some opening. Otherwise, there's only the mind who's listening from a personal sense of I. And then it doesn't really, well, intellectually it might make a little sense, but there's no more deepening of this.
Is there someone else who would like to ask a question?
Yeah, I was just listening, and this is what we read in Vedanta, that everything is one, and he has experienced, you have experienced, you. So this is, I just know intellectually that everything is one, but you have experienced, and that's so interesting and so beautiful. So I don't know how to feel that oneness, So cognitively, in Vedanta, it is said everything is one, and there's no dualism, non-dual thing. But it's so beautiful to listen to you experiencing this oneness.
Yes, that is, but it is already this kind of knowing that this intellectual understanding is not the real thing, right? Even to know it does not bring this openness or this oneness. It's not real to think about this. But even while listening here, and in let's say to sense this kind of beauty, this does not come from something intellectual, right? There is because intellect is not really, it finds something interesting, but not really beautiful in this deeper sense. And this beauty might be the beginning of, now, as many books have been read, now this may start now from really diving deeper and remain with this simplicity of just being here and listening, see if this is possible, this opening. Because I've never read, I'm glad, I never read any Vedanta before. I was never even, I did not know anything about this. I was thinking about, unending love. I thought this come through relationship, but actually this love my heart, the heart was looking for was this unconditional love, which is not coming through any kind of relationship. It is just by slowly, patiently dissolving into this, and then one is seeing it is you, it is what you are, and this is the only thing. Looking through consciousness, you don't see any more otherness. It is not here. There's just a knowing of this consciousness, and knowing that, well, the mind is burdened, has captured the human beings, but this is not true. And those who want to explore are invited to meet again and to bring these auspiciousness into daily life, and not only here as a little talk, which is also beautiful. But to really bring this intensity into one's own daily life.
For more talks, can we direct our participants to your satsang sessions, Leo?
Yes, so if there's a interest, or let's say the heart is calling, you're invited to be in contact, and sometimes also it has been said many times already to really sit a few times, or to sit in closeness to this let's say, to just meet like here. If there's a little candle inside your heart burning for finding the truth, it may fuel this little candle, that this longing and the sincerity in might amplify. And this is beautiful. If the heart is sensing this opportunity, it might yes, enlighten this little candle, because this burning fire is an opportunity which is inside your heart, and the mind is sometimes so quite noisy to not really notice this fire of being that oneness, and not only staying on this journey, because the journey, well, at one time it has to end, and this is when one is fully here. So thank you for this opportunity, and I'm grateful for consciousness, experimenting a little with these human forms, and always looks for a little opening to step out of this continued thinking, the treadmill of continued thought, which is suffocating your own being and the whole creation. And there is a great aliveness behind this stream of thinking.
Thank you, Leo, for the wonderful session.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the inspiring talk.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Leo.
Thank you, everyone, for attending, and hope to
Thank
see
you.
you all in the next session.